Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the DC Multiverse Dark Detective Batman from Future State. Starting off the packaging, the first thing you'll notice is that it's a typical DC Multiverse window box. The second thing you'll notice is that I finally changed out the backdrop. Batman Dark Detective down here. On the side, we can see it's from Future State, UPC for those who want it, and a pretty nice product shot on the back. On that subject, I love how Swamp Thing is just a silhouette, but we're not talking about Swamp Thing. After all, we already talked about him. We're talking about Dark Detective Batman, and for packaging, he gets 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and at the top of his ears, Batman stands at 7 1/4 inches. This Batman's a stripped-down Dark Knight whose identity has been revealed and is on the run. The costume is more thrown together and definitely reflects Bruce Wayne's disconnection from his resources. The chest armor, for example, just looks like a bulletproof vest. I do like the simple outline. Kinda reminds me of Rebirth, which I know from the comments on this video that all of you love very, very much. Instead of a cape, he has a trench coat. It actually does have some bat scallops on it though, and also some really nice dry brushing, even on the back. I really love the utility belt. He's got a holster here, I assume for his grapnel gun. Overall, it kind of looks like an Old West gunslinger. As has become common with Batman, he's got some knee pads. I also really like the boots. The points evoke his mask, and there's a lot of great detailing in the shoes, including these treads. McFarlane's also done a great job of hiding the ankle ball, and also the wrist ball. While we're here, the gauntlets look pretty cool and the scallops are nice and soft, but the blue gloves do kind of take me out of it. And on the subject of taking me out of it, let's talk about this head. This looks pretty cool. This, on the other hand, looks like John Walker Captain America. I really like the profile it cuts. The gritting teeth and stubble is also a nice touch, but I look at this and I just have a really hard time seeing Batman. Then again, he is on the run, so that might be the idea. To be honest, this design doesn't really do it for me, but there are a lot of things about it I like. More importantly, I recognize that a lot of effort went into it. For presentation, I'm giving Dark Detective Batman 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and there's some nice surprises and also some frustrations. From the top, and his head's on a dumbbell joint, up this much, this far down, pretty great tilt, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders only raise up this much because of the shoulder pads. He has bicep swivel, but again, because of the shoulder pads, they barely work. No trouble, however, with the double jointed elbow, or with the McFarlane wrist balls, again, very nicely hidden by the gauntlet. Shifting to the torso, and he has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. No back, of course, because of the trench coat, but he can hunch over this far, which for a DC Multiverse is pretty good. He also gets some pretty decent tilt and twist. Below the waist, and he has McFarlane-style hips. They kick out this far and split this far. They twist at the hip, but that's not necessary because this figure has thigh cut. Not sure why they didn't lower this strap to hide it better, but beggars can't be choosers. The fact that they included a thigh cut is honestly pretty telling. Up to this point, the only figures to get thigh cut are the ones designed to ride vehicles. My prediction is that a Dark Detective Bat Cycle is in our future. If it is, you heard it here first. Moving on down, and Batman's got double jointed knees, toe articulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that swivel, hinge, and pivot. The limited range in the arms is frustrating, but also understandable considering the shoulder pads, but the addition of thigh cut more than makes up for it. For posability, I'm giving Dark Detective Batman 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and he comes with a trading card and a figure stand. Pause here if you want to read it. He also comes with his bat rope trident hook thing. Pretty good detail on the rope, and the screw details up here made me think that they were able to hinge. Either way, he holds the bat rope like so. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. Starting off with the Bat family, and here's a couple of different versions of Damian. The small one is Mattel, and the big one is McFarlane. Here's a couple of versions of Tim Drake. The more traditional looking one is by Mattel, and the Red Robin version is by DC Collectibles. And for Batman's eldest sons, here's Nightwing and Red Hood. Both of these are from DC Essentials. Lastly, here we have Batgirl. The small one is by DC Essentials, and the big one is by McFarlane. Interestingly enough, she also has the exposed ear and chin strap. Moving on to the Justice League, and here's a couple of different versions of Superman. Here we have Wonder Woman. The smaller one is DC Essentials, and the taller one is DC Multiverse. Here we have the Flash, again DC Essentials and DC Multiverse, and here we have Green Lantern, again Essentials and Multiverse. For some DC Multiverse villains, here's Deathstroke and Azrael, and of course, here he is with a couple of different versions of the Joker. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. But we all know what you really came here for. You want to see some head swaps. First things first, and here we have Detective Comics 1000. Boy, have we come a long way since this. And honestly, this is probably the only head that I like less than the one that actually came with it. Even if I did like it, it is simply way too small. On the flip side, this is a wonderful illustration of why Batman with ears does not work. That said, it's proportioned a lot better. Here we have Dark Knight's Death Metal. Both these bats are rocking some coats. This is one of my favorite Batman heads, and it does not disappoint. The proportions are pretty good, but this is even better. Since this version's a biker, the more helmet-style mask really does work. To be honest, even the ears don't bother me. Here we have the Target exclusive Battle Damage Batman. Unfortunately, they're incompatible because of a different style neck joint. And on that subject, here he is with the 3 Jokers. They're not compatible either, but here he is with Rebirth, and they definitely are. The biggest problem that most people have with this head is that they feel it's too small, and honestly, this isn't doing it any favors. Just looking at the head to neck ratio, and you can definitely see what I mean. Likewise, this looks thoroughly ridiculous as well. Even if you shave the ears off and painted it in, this head is simply too big. For probably the most important comparison, here he is with Tim Fox. Both these versions of Batman are from Future State. It might be a touch too small, but I think you can get away with it. Either way, you still get that helmet quality, and honestly, this doesn't look half bad as well. Shave off the ears and paint it in, and you might just have yourself one of the best Batman heads ever. For my most recent Batman review, here we have Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. Obviously, it needs to be repainted, but this one might just be my favorite so far. Both the proportions and skin tones are perfect. Even this way looks pretty cool, especially since Zur-En-Arrh is supposed to be a thrown-together costume. And then moving into live action, and here we have Battinson. Aesthetically, this really works. The stitching and the leather work makes it really feel like it belongs. And honestly, this looks like what a year 1 version of Battinson might look like when he was first starting out. On the other hand, this is pretty cool too. Again, just lose the ears and this would be a fantastic Batman. And here we have Batfleck. I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking it too. This is the perfect base for the Nightmare version of Batman. I actually wanted to do it on camera as a kit bash, but then I realized I'd have to cut off the cape, and well, that wasn't something I was willing to do today. And you know what? This isn't half bad either. Since this Batman's a bit more tactical, I think all the different panels make sense, and even the ears kinda work. Lastly, I think the Dark Detective Batman has a lot of potential as a base body for a custom red hood. I mean, I'm pretty sold. I was going to switch out the jacket also, but unfortunately the trench coat is glued and I didn't really want to be dealing with that. Whether you want them for your Future State shelf or just for parts, Dark Detective Batman is a lot of fun. For playability, I'm giving Dark Detective Batman 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I found Dark Detective Batman at Walmart for $19.99. What he lacks in accessories, he more than makes up for in sculpted detail, painted detail, extra articulation, and customizing potential. For price, I'm giving Dark Detective Batman 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For more Batman head swap videos, click here, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.